Hello, and welcome back to Mini Monster Mashers How to Play. We just covered cards and advanced play of mashing, so now we really should understand our cards. There is going to be more complex things that are going to happen later on, but we're only talking about the starter deck and maybe the original first couple cards that'll be released with the game. Okay, now one of the most confusing things people say is, board? What on earth are you talking about? Well, let me stop you right there. We're going to go over the board. Okay, now, if you think about a board like a board game, you put pieces on it. Okay? Super complex, super complicated concept. But let's say you were like, okay, I selected my monster. You selected Speedy. You now get the Speedy token, right? Now the card stays on your side so you know what to read and you can keep track of your health. We don't want that card all over this board, which is why the board is in circles and you use your moving piece on the board. Now let's say that I'm player one and I want to be blue, which means my pieces get placed on the blue side. Okay, and then there's a player two. Player two would place his pieces on the opposite side. Now, if you may have noticed a scary part of the map, it's going to be the middle, where there is 6 dots. But remember, everybody, when I was explaining the cards, if you watched that amazing video, we talked about how there's obstacle cards, right? Where would you put an obstacle if you have the red and your opponent has the blue? Well, you're going to put this obstacle piece right on the yellow. Unbelievable. Now, as I said, obstacles in the training map don't have health. They just sit there forever. But in the other version of the game, they do have health and they don't sit there forever. But that information will be updated later and not in the starter deck. So, how the game would technically go, now that we understand, it's a map. The health circle is also just like I said with the cards and the gameplay. There's easy, normal, and advanced. In easy mode, your health circle works forever. In normal mode, it works for 2 turns. In advanced play, it only works once. Now, you're both logically thinking adults. And if you want to change those rules to fit your particular game that's not part of a tournament, you can 100% do that because you can think like 2 seconds ahead of somebody else. But for those of you who say it wasn't in the rule book, you just can't do it, don't act like that. What is wrong with you? Okay, so you have your board. You selected your monsters. In the original, incredibly tight map, it's really tight. So, the suggested starter play is 2 blue. Blue would be your monster. And 1 purple. This is called a minion card because it's not a fully developed monster. Minions don't count as a full character, but they do take up 1 circle on the map. So, if you talk about phasing in how you play the game, I know that word's a little bit scary, but it's essentially taking turns. Whoever takes the first turn can be decided with a coin flip. We demonstrated that again. Unbelievable moments. Hopefully you understand what a coin flip is. If not, rewind and watch it again, or go back to the first video where I talk about coin flipping. Okay, so you flipped, you get to go first. Unbelievable moments. And you got these 3 monsters with your 3 pieces. Alright, let's let that set in. You have 3 monsters, and each one of them has a piece. A piece is for a board. So, we go ahead and we put that singular piece of your first monster on anywhere you want within your selected color zone. That means that you have 8 options, which may be too much for some people. Make the board smaller if you mentally can't handle 8 squares. Okay, now that you put your first monster on the board, it's now my turn to put the first monster on the board. I did it. It was a very intense moment. Crap. No, I said obstacles. We already put the obstacles on the board. We already took care of that. Obstacles were first. You selected your 1 obstacle per team if you're playing that way, and you put your 1 obstacle token on the dang board. And unless you have the ability to move it, it's sitting right there to get in everybody's way. Or you can choose not to use it, which I don't suggest. It's not as much fun. Anyways, so now you have your 1 piece on the board, but you still have 2 monsters that aren't on the board yet. How on earth are you going to get them on that board? Oh man. So I went ahead and I moved my 1 monster on the board 1 circle. I said, alright, it's your turn. Go ahead and move my 1 monster available on the board. And bam. Freaking mosquitoes. I moved a monster. And then I placed my second token. Okay. Now it's my turn to place that token, right? Because I'm player 2. So I took my blue zone, I moved my 1 monster on the board, and then I placed 1 more monster. Now, normally you aren't close enough to battle yet. Maybe if you both put them on the very edges and you move forward, right? If you both put them right here and you both took a step forward and there wasn't a fire or a wall directly in your way, you're golden. If there was monsters that instantly clashed because you really just want to sacrifice your pieces really quick, that's fine too. But in this imaginary game, we're not going to do that. Okay. We're now going to move our 2 monsters on the board, all right? And then we're going to put down our 3rd and final monster. And then I'll do the same thing. Now everything's on the board. We no longer have to worry about this incredibly complex placing phase. It's done. Unless, of course, you want to play a continuous match, which we'll talk about in advanced play. So, you put your monsters down, and they start going. They're moving around the board, because that's how turns work. You move your physical piece on a board, but you take turns. Fairly. Logically, just like other board games that exist on the planet Earth. If you've never played a board game before, I suggest you watch an extra tutorial on the basics of board games. I know it exists out there, but I don't have enough board games to do it. Now, we're going to put this to the side and we're going to talk about literally attacking. I know. So, on the screen in a second, I'm going to pull up, where is it? We have Speedy and Muscle. Alright? Now let's say you're playing Muscle and you walk up to Speedy and you're like, hey, punk ass. And you choose to use the attack called Punch, which does 2 hearts. You then look at Speedy's hearts and you remove 2. That was hard. That's an attack. Okay, we're going to start talking about a little more advanced things. Let's say I have Effect, which can shoot abilities. And we have Speedy, that's at least 3 squares away, without a frickin' wall directly in front of you. You can't shoot through a solid steel wall. What are you, crazy? You could shoot through a fire, though, right? It's just a fire. So let's say he shoots, and he successfully hits him with silence, right? Hold on. Why don't I have the appropriate things here? Never mind. We'll hit him with green, right? Now in my thing, I don't know about you, I've got a green marker. And so I would take Speedy and I would add this green marker. Now I know he's poisoned. And so now that Effect did his ability, let's say that was the last attack of your turn. It's now my turn. And I'm like, well, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? I lose 1 health as a part of poison. Now, we're going to be playing the rules where normal mode, where you flip to remove it. Heads is gone. All right. That was a lot to take in, everybody. If you made it this far, unbelievable. If you're having a hard time, you can leave it in the comments where you say, what the hell are you talking about? This is an impossible game where the symbols are far too complicated and the system pushes the mental capacity of the average person. That's okay. All right, everyone. Keep on mashing.